Please.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Always something. Oh, yeah. Are we doing the clicker ourselves or is Joe doing that?
Tēnā tātou te whānau. I moe I te timatanga o tō tātou hui, e tika ana kia tuku waka moimiti ki te wāhi ngaro. Anō reira, ka tono atu au ki a koe, e te tuakana e Shane, ki te arahi I a tātou, I roto I te karakia. Kia ora.
Ka te timatanga o tō tātou karakia. E ngoe ki te wairua tapu ki atu kua mai tōna marama ki a tātou I tēnei ata. Ki te ingoa tamatua te tama o te wairua tapu. Arama e te wairua tapu. Waka ki a te ngāka o au tāngata wakapono wakauri ai roti a rātau te kāpuru o toarua. Tonoa mai tō wairua ka hanga ute o mā te ngāka. Ki waka ute a te matua o te wenua ki anui tātou. E te atua nau I wakamātau te ngāka o au tāngata wakapono mā te maramatanga o te wairua tapu. O mai ki a mātau ki ngā mea te kamatawa wairua a kāra tono mo te mariatanga e tukua mai ana e ea. Ma e ukaraiti tō mātau areki. Amen. E tō mātau I te rangi ki a wakatapu a te ingoa tukua mai tō rangatiratanga ki a wakarite a tō ia I te wenua pēnei me I te rangi.
Mai kia mātou waia nei tō mātou taro ngā rā katoa kia ware koe I o mātou. Mātou uki e ware ana I te hara o te hunga e kino kia mātou au wae kua mātou ki te
wakawai ngō tira ia mātou I te kino āmene. Awe mere ki ana te keretia kei a koe te ariki ko koe wakapai ngā na ngā wā ine. Ka wakapai ngā hoki a e u te ua o tau kōpū.
Tā miri matua te atua I noe koe mō mātou e ngahara ai nei au.
Rato mate ngarawa mene awe mere ki ana te keretia kei a koe te ariki ko koe wakapai ngā na ngā wā ine. Ka wakapai ngā hoki a e u te ua o tau kōpū.
E hao miri matua te atua I noe koe mō mātou e ngahara ai nei au. Tō mātou mate ngarawa
mene awe mere ki ana te keretia kei a koe te ariki ko koe wakapai ngā na ngā wā ine a ka wakapai ngā hoki a e u te o tau kōpū.
E hata
Mere te matua te atua I noe koe mō mātou e ngāra e nei ai taura tō mātou mene kroria ki te matua te tamai te meta wairua tapu. E te timatanga anō kia pēra o kia e nei kia pēra kia I ngā tau mutunga kore āmene. E amene.
Mo Maria aia nei, o tātou waiata, kia ka ara tātou, kia nui te aro a Mo Maria. Aia nei, I o tātou waiata, kia ka ara tātou, kia nui te tēnā o ki ana hera, e waka onore ana, ki tō rato ukuini, kia Maria anora Mo Maria. Aia nei, o tātou waiata, kia ka tātou ki anui te Amene. Amen.
E o mana mata, ki rota ki tō pai, te atua mato, te atua ua koe waka. I o mata e noi ngai, i o mata mate ngari waka hongi ama. Ma kia ki ngā mea mataku katoa e tataka kau i waka koro ri atea. E waka pai ki a mene ki te ingoa tamatua te tamo te wairu a tapu.
Āmene. Here re kau mai te awa nui, mai te kāhui maunga ki Tangaroa, ko au te awa, ko te awa ko au. Mihi ana ki te papa e takoto nei, ki te piringa hoki e tū nei, tēnā kōrua, ka tangi ki o tātou mate, moi mai rā koutou i roto i te ahurutanga o tō tātou ariki. Ko tātou e nei ngā kanohi ora, e kawe nei ngā kaupapa i waihotia e kui e koroma, nau piki mai, nau kake mai ki tō tātou Hui-ā-tau, mō tō tātou kōparehana a Ātihau-Whanganui. Ka mihi hoki kia koe te tuakana, nau i whakatūhera i tō tātou hui mā te karakia, tēnā koe, heo tino, ngā manu tiori ori, e kuima, e koroma, ngā mātua, e oku tuakana, taina, tuahine hoki, kānui rā te mihi kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Welcome everybody to our annual general meeting, our Hui-ā-tau for Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation. Hopefully we're all at the right hui. What we're going to do is start off with apologies. There we go, we've got some apologies and we've got some extras that have come in this morning from Rangimarie Hall, Koro Waitia Whānau Trust and Novena McGuckin. Are there any other apologies that need to be noted from the floor? No other apologies? Ka pai. If I can have a mover for the apologies, please. Thank you, Tāwhiao. A seconder. Thank you, Agnes. All in favour, say aye. Those against? Carried. Right, before we get into the the nominations for the board, just some very brief housekeeping. So for those of you that don't know, we have some whare iti just through this door here on your right. We also have some down on the ground floor. In case of an emergency, kei muri ngā ārai, beyond the curtains, ngā araputa are the exit doors. Make your way down the stairs in an orderly fashion, and we assemble out on the field. Ka pai maramana, tēnā koutou. Alrighty. Kia ora, Olive. Okay, thank you, Olive. Calling for a poll vote. It needs to be supported by 5 shareholders. So are there any other shareholders that support that? Tēnā koe Phil, Tāwhiao, Dana and Kataraina. Okay, we've got those minuted. Thank you very much. So for our resolutions, they will all be done through the poll vote, apart from the Kaumātua travel grant, which will be done through show of hands today. Kei te pai tēnā, ka rawe. Okay, so just a quick reminder that the voting process is currently still open and the cut-off time is 1 p.m, 1 o'clock this afternoon. There are voting boxes at the back of the hall here, and there's also a big brown one down in the foyer where you came in and did your registrations. If you haven't voted yet, please make sure you do so before 1 p.m. It is the pink voting forms, and you make sure that you sign them. E te iwi. I hope you signed your forms. Tēnā koutou. We're going to get straight into the candidate presentations. We have 8 candidates standing for 3 positions on the board of directors, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to address you as shareholders today, and we're going in the order that's within your information booklet, and it's ordered by surname, alphabetical order. Each of the candidates, as I said, will have 2 minutes, and you will receive a little warning bell at 1:45, and then you're out of time, 2 o'clock, just like Manu Kōrero e te wano. Okay, so first up, I invite Shah Amna.
Kia ora Rawiri. Tēnā koutou, morena ngā kaupupuri o Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation. Ko awa kairangi au I noho ana I taku wahine ko Rosalie, Maua e tama Lockie, rawa ko Rico, ko Shah Amna toku ingoa. 9 years ago, you placed your trust in me to serve on this committee of management. And since then, I've had the privilege of 9 years of service and chairing all of the subcommittees, Ohu Mano Whenua, Ohu Tātari, Te Ātihau Trust, and for the last year, chair of the Incorporation and Committee of Management. I stand here today with that same commitment and energy that I brought 9 years ago, to be a steady hand in service to the Incorporation. Good governance isn't about always having the right answers, but it is about asking the right questions, listening carefully to our people, and making the sound decisions that serve the best interests in the best interests of the Incorporation. In my day job at the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, which you could understand is a pretty rough environment at the moment for Māori, I'm the General Manager for Māori Economic Development across the country, and I see daily the critical importance of having strong Māori economic entities. Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation is exactly that. It's an example of what careful stewardship and steady leadership can achieve. I will continue on the work that we have started, improving profitability while caring for our whenua. Listening to your voices and your concerns as your guidance shapes our direction. And as I bring the same steady approach that has served us through good times and challenging times, I'm here to continue my service. I'm here, kia koutou, kia ora.
I welcome to the stage our next candidate, Charles Chadwick.
Morena whānau. Ko Charles Chadwick tuku ingoa, no urio o Ngātirangi. As we reflect on the year gone by, I would like to start by acknowledging our board and Tifa for his contribution to the legacy of Ātihau, navigating us through some challenging times, to say the least, but importantly, planning which has contributed to Ātihau's very positive results over the last financial year. Also, Shah and his board, following on from Tifa, have continued on great results. So thank you very much for your fellow service to date. Which brings me to my main point. Ātihau has set up an associate program after I'm assuming having an in-depth kōrero about succession. I have had the privilege of being part of that associate program, understanding the ins and outs of Ātihau and gaining that mātauranga while sitting as an associate for the last couple of years. Navigating through some pretty tough times, having those difficult conversations and ultimately making the decision which has landed us where we are here today. So you've read my profile, and I guess there's something that You wouldn't know about me that I've had 20 years at the freezing works, so I better hurry up and speed up. That's grounded me, you know, kept my head down and made me who I am. Humble, I would say. So I would appreciate your vote. Kia ora.
Thank you. Okay, tēnā koe, Charles. Our next candidate is Kiritahi Furman. Piki mai, kake mai. Kia ora, morena.
Morena I te whānau. Kei te pē Ā-Tātou. Ka rawe. There's heaps of seats in front here if you want to come forward and listen. Nō reira, ai te tepu tēnā tātou katoa, a kukuia koro eke e te wānau wānui, a kua tai mai ki te tautoko, te kaupapa nui, kei Hui-ā-tau tēnā koutou. I'm only 4'9", so you won't be able to really see me, but never mind, you can hear my voice. I'm Kiritahi, no kai Waiki-a-o. Born and raised there. My mum was Piki Takiari. She was a tawaroa. And of course, my dad, well, he was from Ratanapa, Bourbon, people would call him. He'd come here and he'd come and get his honey and his petrol, and he'd come and listen to the kōrero. And I proudly stand here for them and for our mokopuna. Dad was also Ngāti Maniapoto, Ratanapa. Why am I standing? Well, over the years, I've been a graduate of a number of things, the marae, but also agribusiness and governance, particularly Te Wakamana Wāene. I graduated from the agribusiness, AWDT, it was called then, it still happens. What that did was it took us for 8 whole months with some really amazing Wāene, Māori, Pākehā, and it taught us all about governance in the agribusiness. Then a couple of years ago, I took part in the Kellogg's Rural Leadership Program as well, here in Whanganui, thanks to Te Puni Kōkiri, so I want to meet you to them. I grew up at Kaiwaiki, never knew that we were shareholders, in fact, when we were kids. When we went up to Parapara and we saw Ore and Te Paenga and all the other farms, we thought they didn't even belong to us, that we thought they belonged to the Pākehā Koki. And so I want to stop that. I want to be a voice for our whānau on the ground. I want to be able to bring more of our younger rangatakapu here on those seats and make a change. I'm here for you. I'm here for us. And vote for the right people. Kia ora tātou.
Tēnā koe Kiritahi. Ka karangatu kia koe Janelle Hiroti Kanane. Haere mai, our next candidate.
Tēnā koutou, he mokopuna au o Tiria Rawa called Bill Smith, Jenny South toku mama, Jamie Kanane toku papa, Jamie Hughes toku tau, Hoane matu me miriama aku ngā tamariki. Nā reira, tēnā koutou katoa. You may recognise my face from the cover of the 2019 annual report or even issue 15 of the Awhi magazine. You've probably heard my voice over the phone or received letters and emails from me while I worked on the front desk at Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation. During my time at Ātihau, I grew our online Facebook audience to 1,500 in under 6 months. I started campaigns such as Kei Hui-ā Koe to reduce unclaimed dividends, enhance AGM registration, and more recently, I served as an independent trustee for Te Ātihau Trust for 2 terms. I know my work in the incorporation has improved access and visibility for our shareholders and their whānau. So now I'm here to step it up a notch. I know that I have more to give by guiding strong strategy and a pragmatic operations with good data and strong relationships so that our tamariki mokopuna can stand here one day and be great too. My background is working across business and Māori economic development within the public sector at Te Puni Kōkiri. My recent mahi and export investment has made me reflect on how strongly our Awhi brand is positioned for global markets and how that can translate positively for our whenua, tangata, and mana through good science, innovation, relationships, and ancestral knowledge. I look forward to contributing to what lay ahead for Ātihau and would like to mihi Te Whatarangi and his whānau for all the mahi they have poured into the incorporation. I not only admire your charisma on the farm, the floor, and the table, but also your long-standing commitment and rangatira to Ātihau. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa.
I welcome our next candidate to the stage, Debbie Highland. Kia ora.
Ka ranga mai nā iwi, nā uri ahau o te Ātihau nui a paparangi ahau o nā te hauiti. Kua tae mai ki te tau toku i te kaupapa nui o te rānei. Kia mau te ahu whenua. Ka ranga mai, ka ranga mai, ka ranga mai rā. Mihi morena koutou, mihi to our com, mihi to our kaimahi from Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation. And a big mihi to our my other fellow nominees. Ko Debbie Highland toko ingoa. We whakapapa to lots of places, but my great-grandmother was Tāwhara Perere. She was raised by Pene Perere, the half-brother of Ngāti Hauiti Chief Utuku Pōtaka. My nan married Charles Highland, an Irishman, and the Highlands are known in this rohe for sharing. My nan great-grandmother had her daughter, Rosemary Highland. She married Tame Ropata from Hui-ā-tau Pā in Taihape. My dad, Howard Highland, married Rose Highland. My mum's Pākehā, she raised all my dad's Māori kids in Kawiro. And my dad was raised in Taihape with the Lomax brothers, Hape Lomax, and a mihi to my uncle Lee Basin. So ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa. I thought it's important to connect. Some of you may remember me at last year's AGM. My role at Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation is the Chief Financial Officer. I've been an employee with the incorporation for 3 years. And part of the reason that my dad raised us in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, and it was really important for me to have a connection to you, our whānau, and to our tribal ancestral whenua. Last year at the AGM, I promised to help return the incorporation back to the black, to remove unnecessary spending in our corporate office, to really help the team to reduce our debt. And you'll see today that we've reduced debt by $10 million in the last 12 months, 25%. I feel I've delivered on the commitment to you, whānau, because I heard what you wanted. You wanted to protect your taonga tuku iho, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. I wind up as our CFO. I've resigned from the incorporation, and next week will be my last week. So again, just to our board, they've done a great job, and I'm sure our next com that'll come in, of which I hope I am one of them, will also do a wonderful job. I wish everybody a great day, and just in closing, I really just wanted to say that the sacrifices that have been made to achieve a great moemoeā are noted, that our tupuna have led the way, that the shadows are behind us, and that the light is in front of us. Our kaimahi are working really hard to lift our ahu whenua production, and to look after everything that your whānau and you have done to achieve some great things. So, nō reira, mā te nui Ātihau, mā te rahi Ātihau. Kia ora.
I invite our next candidate to the stage, Haere mai rā, Hayden Pōtaka.
Ka tira tēnā tātou, ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa, I rungi I te āuatanga I tēnei rā, e mihi ana kawana kia koutou. Ko Waiau, ko Hayden Porter, ko tōku ingoa, ko tōku pāpap, ko Willie, ko tōku matua, ko Matu Pōtaka. Nā reira I rungi I tērā, ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa. Firstly, thank you to the committee for your hard work over the years and in years to come, and look forward to working with you all going forward. First for me, Ātihau is more than a corporation. It's a wakapapa, it's our legacy to the whenua, not just for us, for now, for the generations to come. And I believe that we need to feel connected to our whenua, whether we're passing through it or jumping onto the high hills within side of some of our farms there. Getting more connection with that would be a great thing. I've seen quite a few and a number of activities being facilitated for the court, and one of the biggest things that's outstanding within side of it is the connection to the whenua, and that's an important role for us as mana whenua to connect to it. Second, I bring some practical experience into the role. I've been a trustee of a dairy farm, and I've also been a chairperson and a director of iwi companies, and I'm still currently on the Risk and Audit Committee within side of Ngā Raudu Kitahi. I've also served as if elected, I will protect and grow the shareholder and strength of kaitiakitanga and build the opportunities for us to learn and grow moving forward. Nā reira, I rungi I tērā, ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa, tēnā tātou.
I welcome our next candidate to the podium, Sarah Ray.
Morena tātou, ko Sarah tōku ingoa, ko Ātihau nui, ko Ngā Te Rangi Te Iwi, ko Ruapehu Te Maunga, ko Whanganui, ko Hautapu Te Awa, ko Ngā Te Ruaka Te Hapu, ko Rānana, ko Rakatupoma Te Marae. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I firstly want to thank you all for the immense privilege of serving for the last 3 years. I have been proud to help steer the Ātihau Waka our tūpuna entrusted us with. At a strategic hui, I shared why I'm here. I just know this is where I'm meant to be. This is tūpuna wisdom at its best. When we make decisions around the board table, I feel the pull of my tūpuna. You must trust that we're going to do the best thing for you all, even when no one is watching, and that weighs heavy. I am here asking again for your support. Many of you know me as a farmer and a governor, the environmentalist, the wife, the mother, and the rural banker, and a straight talker. You know of my kuia, Jorge Manson, buried at Rānana, fierce, and she stood up for what was right. Someone recently said I ruffle a few feathers occasionally on the board. I take that as a compliment if it means that I'm challenging the status quo, just like my nanny, and fighting for the future that we want for our incorporation. I stood here 4 times before I was elected, when I was elected previously, promising to be the farmer voice and improve transparency and farm profitability. I've achieved 2 of those things. We've started on the right track, and I'm proud that I helped instigate that, but we have much more work to do with farm profitability, and I hope that you'll allow me to continue building our legacy. Ngā mihi nui.
And our final candidate for today, Charles Toho Taituha. Haere mai.
Tēnā tātou. Firstly, ngā mihi o tēnā koe,
tēnei te mihi atu ki a koe me o tō kai karakia mō te timatanga o tēnei rā. Tēnā koe, mihi to our owners, mihi to our kaimahi as well. I saw John's up here on the table. I saw Courtney floating around earlier. Big mihi to those people who do all that mahi on the ground for us. Thirdly, mihi to our board. Thank you very much for bringing us here today. Another sort of another special mihi te whata. 40 years on this board, 40 years trying to advocate for whenua Māori throughout the country. And this one again, thank you for your mahi. I'm going to be short and sweet. There's stuff in the book there. I'm not going to repeat that. There are 2 Charleses on the voting paper, so just remember it's Charles Taituha. So just want to put that one straight. For me, Ātihau to be just average still has a lot of work to do. I think my role, if elected, will be to help steer the organisation in the right direction, back to basic strategy, supporting our new CEO and our kaimahi to do the mahi that I know they can do, and then also keep the board away from some of the things that aren't going to prioritise those back to basic stuff. So for me, it's back to basics, folding all our effort into that in the short term will create the great platform for us to grow from later. Kia ora.
So just to wrap this up, I want to take my hat off to all 8 candidates for putting their names in the ring. If we can give them all a big hand, please, te iwi. And we wish them all the very best. I now invite our chair, Shah Amna, to present his report.
Kia ora, thank you, Rawiri, and just acknowledging the candidates as well. This is the clicker? Yep, okay. Firstly, I want to begin to give thanks for everybody for being here today for our 56th annual general meeting for the incorporation. And I want to also look forward to sharing with you the progress, the growth, the outcomes that we've achieved in the 2024 to 2025 financial year. Up until the end of July. So just noting that this reporting period is from the 1st of July 2024 to the 30th of June 2025. I also just want to quickly introduce the top table here, just so everyone's aware of who's here. You've already heard from Rawiri Tiniro, also Chair of Ohu-Tātari and Te Ātihau Trust, Sarah Ray, Kemp Dryden, Kiri Apunga, our legendary Whatarangi Murphy Pehi, Hamish Blackburn, our board secretary Paul Maguire, and our new CEO John Tātari, who we'll hear from a little bit later. Also acknowledging down the front here is Russell Bell, our independent on Ohu-Tātari, and also presenting our financial report today as well. And special acknowledgement, as you would have heard, on Whata's 41 years of service, and we'll have something a little bit later in the morning to acknowledge Whata, as already been said. This year has been a year of transition. Transition in leadership, transition in direction, and transition in strengthening our results. Like the currents of our oa, we have navigated both momentum and challenge, responding with what is needed at each moment. Before I discuss our operational and financial performance from Russell, I want to acknowledge the leadership transitions that have shaped and formed over the last 12 months. At our last AGM in December 2024, 2 significant leadership changes occurred. Brendan Te Tiwha Puketapu concluded his tenure as the chairman, and soon after I was appointed as the 9th chairman of the incorporation. At the last AGM, we also informed our shareholders that Andrew Byerman, our CEO at the time, would be departing at the end of January, and that we had already commenced the search for his replacement at the last AGM. Andrew departed at the end of January, and the board had not yet confirmed at the time a replacement for Andrew. For 6 months, from February and through to July, I held the roles of chairperson and as acting managing director to maintain the stability and the continuity whilst we continued to search for a CEO replacement. This was a demanding and active time. And I don't use the word busy prefer to use the word active. But it gave me a closer look to where we needed to be and where we needed to make changes, more than what I would have if I had only been the chair and not been able to speak with our staff a little bit more. And what I found was our operations were sound and our people were capable and committed. But we needed a sharper focus, we needed clearer priorities and more financial discipline. And we have worked hard on improving this. And I'm thankful for that opportunity to work side our kaimahi. I saw their capability, I witnessed their commitment, and I experienced their genuine care for the incorporation. To every member of our kaimahi team, your mahi during this transition has been exceptional. And during the year, I asked them to adapt to new leadership. I asked them to adapt to new priorities, and I asked them to adapt to new systems. And they didn't just maintain the standards, they elevated them. They were clear, the direction was clear. And they adapted when we needed to be flexible. And you maintained excellence when we needed stability. And you delivered results when it was needed. The financial turnaround we're reporting today tells an honest story. And it's a story that belongs to every person in our organisation. Through the transition, all of the change, all of the uncertainty, one thing remained constant with our people. Every result you'll hear today is built on their daily excellence. I'd also like to take this time to acknowledge the service of some long-serving kaimahi. Whoti Ioannidis, Whoti, people may know of Whoti if you've been on some of the visits. Steve Tapa, each with 45 years of service. Sheldon O'Hagan, Rex Martin and John Maraku, each with over 15 years. And Dean Francois, 15 years. And earlier this year, we farewelled Mark Brown after 47 years of dedication to the incorporation. These continued services, knowledge and commitment are the backbone of our incorporation. And I also want to acknowledge our board. Charles said earlier, my board. It's not my board, this is our board. And I want to acknowledge the exceptional governance during this last 12 months, for the period of time that we are reporting, and more especially the last 6. And a special acknowledgement to Whātua, which we'll also talk about later. They have held firm the principles of getting the right person, the journey of appointment of a new CEO was driven by the need from the board to get the right person more than speed. So we took longer than we needed to create that, and we provided the additional support for that transition period. This demonstrated the kind of leadership, patience, and long-term thinking that exemplifies strong governance. We now have John Tātari leading us as a CEO, and you'll hear from John. And I also want to acknowledge the farm managers that are here. I asked for them to be here because I find it important for them to see you, and hear and see the AGM. It has been varied over the years, but it was my one first ask that I said to John to have the farm managers here. So I acknowledge the farm managers that are here. I see some of you in the back. The work ahead is about building on the foundation started. Our kaimahi have proven their capability. Our financial position is sound. Ātihau is in good hands. Because of our collective commitment to the vision of the incorporation, our whenua and our shareholders. The next 3 years is defined by our strategic focus. Toi tū te mana, toi tū te whenua, toi tū te tanga always remain. But what do they mean in practice for us as governors and for the operation delivery of the staff? We used to have 7 strategic priority areas. And in February, we reduced those down to 3. 7's too many to try and juggle. 3's clear and focused for delivery. And we're maintaining those 3 for the next 3 to 4 years. Everything at the moment has been built around those 3 priority areas. Farm performance and productivity, strategic partnerships and relationships, and data-driven decision-making. Farm performance to optimise return by driving operational excellence. Strategic partnerships is to secure and not surrender the premium story that we give, and developing best value relationships that will serve the incorporation first, not those who we are supporting, either we're buying from or who we are selling to. We have the scale to demand better. And data-driven decisions. We cannot manage what we're not measuring. We need to drive better measurement systems across the organisation that will inform strategic choices. Every capital allocation, every business case, and every strategic initiative now goes in a vigorous valuation process that aligns to one or more of those three priorities. If they do not get through. Leadership for the future. As I mentioned earlier, we have appointed a new CEO, John Tatari. John will lead us in the next phase of implementation, driving these three strategic priority areas and delivering better results over and above what we've delivered in today's annual report. John will bring stable financial acumen, support and clear direction from the board, and improving conditions on farm that will then translate to better results as the markets develop. Our commodity markets are positive, but they don't always remain that way, and they won't there'll be another dip down in some point in time, and we need to prepare ourselves and position ourselves for those dips. Strategic relationships are who we buy from and who we sell to, who we buy our products and services from and who we sell our products to. We have a long-term supply agreement with Manuka Ora, a honey company, and we value that relationship for they've been supporting us through time to purchase many volumes of our bulk honey. I'll talk a little bit more about the honey sector and what we have done in that area a little bit later. Waka Kotahi relationship, the Matahiwi Bridge. As you recall at the last AGM, we have worked through a land swap. We have gained 1.3 hectares for a land swap of the Orehore slip. That will enable the bridge, for the Matahiwi Bridge, as we refer to it, will enable us to harvest the Papahoa forest. We are part of the Awhina Group, a collective of Māori farm entities, and that brings stronger buying power through our collective weight, and we're able to leverage better purchasing abilities through that relationship. But it also allows, we bring our scale to the table that allows other Māori entities to leverage off our scale and benefit as well, just from being part of a collective. Performance. So normally this would be been delivered by the CEO, as John started in July the 28th in this current financial year, and I was acting managing director for the 6 months of the end of the financial year. I'll be delivering the performance report. Despite market conditions through much of the year, our farms delivered sound, solid performance. Page 13 or page 20 of your books. And we've seen improvement at the farm gate prices. This flows through to improved largely through our balance date, but it will also mean that we are in our current financial environment at the moment, which will be reported next year at the AGM, is positive and sound as we are tracking. The board had a meeting yesterday and we're on a very good trajectory for the next 12 months, for the remaining 6 months of this financial year, because we're in the middle of the 25-26 financial year at the moment. But things are looking positive. Sorry. I just want to acknowledge the imagery that you're also seeing today as well, and the beautiful photos of our whenua, our farms, and the video that was shown earlier. And we just want to continue to do that so that we can see our whenua, see our stock, see our ngahere, see our water. So just as we go through that, just have a look at those. As I said, the farm gate prices have been well, as we know, the commodity market's up. The price of meat is extraordinary in the supermarket now. But that flows through to our performance and our delivery. Lamb prices rose 45% from last year. I think they're around $200 a head at the moment. Steer pricing is up 23%, and dairy prices are up at the moment. It's about $9.50 a milk solid kilo. Even wool is bouncing back. As you see, $2.24 a kilo of wool. It's been the highest for a long time, and might be able to cover our shearing costs by that wool sale. Beef performance, the number of calves born was very much on par with the previous years. We did experience some drought last summer, which had an impact. We also, that impacts on feed, that impacts on hogget weights and pre-lambing weights, which has an impact on production. And so we're trying to look at ways of how do we manage and mitigate those impacts, the environmental impacts, as less as possible. We are at the mercy of our environment, but we need to be strengthen our resilience to work through those. And as you can see, the steer prices, the beef prices are extraordinary, and no sign of coming down. And so we need to ride that wave and prepare over the next 18, 24 months to continue to make the most of that. Lambs born, see there was a dip, and that was as a result of the drought and the lambing weights, pre-lambing weights. So we did have a head count drop, and that was probably balanced by the $145 per head there. So that sort of kept us at a reasonable level, and the average per head. Same. Milk performance, milk is doing really well, and $9.50, $10, $9.40. We had a record production year on the dairy farm, the highest amount of milk produced on the dairy farm at just under 280,000 kilos of milk solids, and on track to beat that one this year. So just a quick acknowledgement to John and his team on the dairy farm. Apiary, our honey production continues. We have a balanced hive count now, 2,900. It's about 3,000 on the flow going into this summer. It'll be about where we stay. So a manageable number. And our production, as you'll see, every second year there's a dip, and that's environmental impacts. And again, managing the best of those environmental impacts, the team, the honey team, Henare and the team, manage those as best as possible to get our hives to the optimum strength and able to produce. 19.5 kilos was a reasonably good year across the country, so we're on par. But as you can see, there's always a bounce back in the second year, so he's hoping that this season they do better. And as I mentioned, wool production, wool values are up, and our volume of wool produced is reflective of the number of lambs that we're down on, but it's still at a reasonable level, and that's a health and well-being aspect really for our stock, getting the wool off and selling it, and ideally not at a loss. Forestry and carbon, we have planted 130 hectares at Waipuna. We have the Papahoa Forest JV, as I mentioned, around the bridge. Well, once that bridge is built, which we hopefully will be anytime within the next year, we'll be able to harvest Papahoa Forest. We have a fair amount, 330,000 carbon credits on the books, and we have sold $5 million of those, and that has been applied to the debt reduction, as you will see, and Russell will talk a little bit more around our debt management results. I'll now hand it over to Russell to take you through the financial report. Thank you very much, and I will be back here soon. Kia ora.
Tēnā koutou. My name is Russell Bell. I am the Ohu Tātare Audit and Risk Committee Independent Secretary. It's my pleasure to be with you today again after a couple of years away to present the financial results for the financial year 2025, which was explained by Shah, is 1 July 2024 through to 30 June 2025. Just want to say a couple of words about Ohu Tātari, the Audit and Risk Committee. My background is I'm a chartered accountant. I advise, sit and chair a number of audit and risk committees around the North Island, particularly for Māori organisations. Just want to say that this Audit and Risk Committee is probably one of the strongest that I'm involved in. And I just would like to acknowledge the mahi that this committee has undertaken over the last year and the years leading into that. We are chaired through the thoughtful and considered leadership of Rawiri Tiniro. Whatarangi Murphy Pihi is a member of the committee. He brings the left field ideas and that long experience, and Whatarangi, you will be missed. And congratulations on your tenure and look forward to your retirement. Sarah Ray, who was here just a couple of minutes ago, she really does challenge and bring some black and white common sense to the committee. And Shah Amna sits as your chair, as ex officio. One thing I want to talk about very briefly is that your financial statements, as you know, are audited every year. Sorry, I forgot. My apologies. Pānia Winterburn is our other independent. Pānia, if you want to stand up, just acknowledge Pānia's just been reappointed for another 3 years. And so Pānia and I are your independents and bring that outside independent view to the committee. The audit is undertaken by Silks, Cameron Town. Hopefully you are here. But if not, I was going to introduce Cameron. He's the partner from Silks Audit. Their audit every year is a thorough and rigorous process. And we've received a clean audit opinion this year. And from the point of view of the actual controls, the financial controls and the systems and processes, every year you get what's called a management letter. And the management letter gives points for improvement, or sometimes it might raise issues that need to be fixed quickly. The management letter for Ātihau-Whanganui Incorporation is clean. So you can take a lot of comfort from that, that the auditors are happy with the processes and controls around the financial reporting. And with that, I'd also like to acknowledge the mahi and hard work of the finance team, but in particular, Stanley Fraser and Andrea Coogan and the rest of the finance team. They do the hard yards and the mahi to get us to where we are every year in terms of the financial report and the numbers. So on to the financial statements, and in your book, from page 19 to 23, there are summarised financial statements. The full annual report is available and up on the website. I just want to point out some highlights. As we note that the 5-year trend in terms of revenue has been a decline, you'll note that in 2025 there is an uplift of the revenue, and that reflects what Shah talked about, particularly in terms of the prices that we're receiving in the markets. There's been a lot of work undertaken over the last couple of years in terms of rationalising expenses, and you're seeing that the expenses are in decline. So that's good news from the point of view of anyone who's looking at the performance of any organisation when revenue is going up and expenses are going in the opposite direction, going down. And net profit and loss, well, it's not a loss this year. We've moved from a 5.7 million loss to a 9.7 million profit. And that reflects the mahi of the team and also the messages that Shah has already talked about in terms of how we're performing in terms of the farm, the apiary and the dairy operation in particular. So revenue by activity, What this shows is the split and the division of where the revenue is coming from. As you can see, obviously sheep and beef are the key drivers, but it's also important just to take note of the contribution of the dairy unit. From the point of view of its size, it does contribute a larger proportion of revenue to the overall total. And noting that the revenue is up, it's 19.8 million, up from 15.6. The operating profit is the other thing to note for the year of 5.42, which is up 3.82 from last year's operating profit of 1.59 million. And then our overall financial position, as you can see, an uplift in assets and the 5-year trend. So we've got a uplift in the last financial year, but also an uplift of 25% over the 5 years. And as you can see, our liabilities on the other side have decreased 16% over the 5-year period. And effectively, this is just your classic accounting calculation. Assets minus liabilities equals equity. And so our equity position has also increased over the 5 years, but also a reasonably significant movement in 2025. And then, as Shah mentioned in closing his kōrero, as you can see, the loan balance has decreased by 10 million. What that is out of, again, that prudent financial management. I recall from last year, Tifa stood up and talked about the prudent financial management which was required, and that has been applied, and that has also been applied to the borrowings. We have a strong relationship with the Bank of New Zealand, and Ohu Tātari is across your budgeting and forecasting, and particularly the forecasting of the ongoing requirements for debt. But the board's intention, as has been explained over the years and also has been explained this year, is to continue to reduce those debt levels. And when John and Shah return to talk about the future, I'm sure they'll touch on the fact that we now have a simpler and more flexible banking structure. And it's been my absolute pleasure to present the financial results to you today. I'll now hand over to the chair of Te Ātihau Trust, Rawiri Tiniro. Thank you.
Ka pai tēnā no tātou te whānau, ko te pūrongo tēnei o tō koutou tarati a Te Ātihau. So just some notes regarding the Te Ātihau Trust report. You will find it within your information booklet, starting on page 24 and going all the way through to page 37. Our trust continues to serve as the charitable arm of the incorporation dedicated to supporting our uri and fulfilling our responsibilities to our whānau, hapu and iwi. Despite facing financial challenges alongside the incorporation, we have remained committed to living within our means while maintaining our core offerings to those who need our support the most. Some of you will remember in 2023, we didn't receive a distribution from the incorporation, and last year we received a reduced distribution of 250,000, but we've still been able to honour our commitments to you, our uri. Let's sort of have a look at those commitments. So in terms of our kaumātua support, we saw an increase in the number of grants provided to kaumātua, valuing 166,000, up 14,000 from the previous period, but also acknowledging the support that we provide to tangihanga grants for our whare mate, and supporting our whānau during their times of loss. Regarding our education grants, we saw just slight reductions in terms of applications from our, I think it was in our undergraduate and our secondary, but quite a reduced number of applications from our postgraduate students. So if you have those within your whānau who are studying their honours degrees, master's degrees, postgraduate diplomas or doctorates, please encourage them to apply for our grad grants. They're all facilitated through the portal managed by the Māori Education Trust, and that's we've smoothed that particular process through, but I need to acknowledge the Māori Education Trust and those other universities that we have partnerships with, because often we have the putia that we're able to provide as a trust, and then those other entities, including the Māori Education Trust, provide a bit more for our uri. So it's great to be able to provide more putia in the pockets of our students. Regarding our marae infrastructure grants this year, we've awarded 3 to Mote Katoa Marae and Raitihi, to Upoko Tawaki in Hiruharama, and also Raitiwha Marae in Pipiriki. E mihi atu ana kia koutou. And just sort of finally, and you'll see all the numbers within your particular reports. I just want to acknowledge Janelle, who finished up with the trust. Thank you, Janelle. And also welcome Oriwea Hohaia Hall, who comes on as an independent trustee to Te Ātihau Trust. And of course, ngā mihi nui to our wonderful ladies within the office, managed by Courtney. We have Charmaine and Arteria. Thank you for ringing them, thank you for emailing them, and thank you for stopping in and talking to them, because they really do love spending time with each and every one of you, if you're able. Ka tira, e te huihuinga, e te tuituinga, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. So I'm going to ask Shah to come back up before we move those 3 reports, and if you have any questions. Pātai mai, please make sure that you speak into the microphone. Kia rongo ai tātou i ngā pātai. And if you have your shareholder number handy, that'll be great, because it helps with the minute taking.
Question in the middle here, hand up. Is your microphones?
Kia ora tātou, shareholder number 19865. With the financial report, I may have mislooked it, but just wondering where the remuneration costs might be sitting for trustees.
There's a note on the trust financials page. Trustee fees and something and the like. We'll just get the page number for you.
Note E26.
Note E26, page 80, you'll see the remuneration table of all committee of management, all trustees, in the annual report document, not on the booklet. We did it a little bit differently this year. We sent out the printed booklet, but it was a much more reduced one, so we didn't have the cost of printing a really big, thick book. And the thick book is available online on the website. So just bear that in mind. So the booklet was informative for today, a really reduced version. The bigger annual report is available online. It's too big and expensive to print and send. So yeah, page 80 on the big report. It can be accessed on the website too. Come on. Pātai down the front here. Yep, in the microphone. Over here.
Kia ora tātou, 6116. Just in reference to what you're talking about, information on the reduced book, or the full book that's online. For those who don't have or don't do the access online, and this was something I was going to bring up anyway, in terms of an administration tip, first time I'm seeing who all sits at that table, who you are. Now, apart from Cousin Watarangi retiring and not standing for re-election, yourself named on the chair's report for Sarah, who I don't know, who's standing again for re-election, and for Rawari, whose signature's on the chair's report for Te Ātihau. If I didn't know Keria was on the board because she's my sister, I wouldn't have a clue who else, no, Purnell, I wouldn't have a clue who else is on the board doing the mai on our behalf. So whatever version you're choosing, please indicate who your committee members are in either booklet, please. Thank you very much.
Kia ora, we'll take that on board and we'll put photos in of the committee in the next year's booklet that gets posted.
Oh, you can photo up if you like, but as long as we've got their names.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Kei te pai.
Kia ora.
Morena.
There's one over here. Yeah.
My name's Tanya, shareholder number 22282. Couple of questions I have. I see that there's a $1 million savings in expenses, but there's a 27% staff turnover, employee turnover. So I'm making the assumption that that's a lot of that staff turnover has helped reduce the expenses. In the report, it stated efficiencies of process improvement, systems improvement. What improvements have been made to help the reduction in expenses, given that a lot of that reduction would have been staff reductions?
Yeah, we haven't made any, the only changes in staff reduction formally have been in the APRI division. There was a little bit of too much headcount in there, so that was a formal process. All the other staff reductions have been by resignations, and the improvements has been around just the financial workflow, the reporting from the managers into the centre, into the office, improving that. So the accessibility of the managers to report on the better data is what I mentioned earlier. So those savings, so we haven't done a restructure formally in the organisation, but our staff has been reduced, and we were very deliberate about what we replaced it, if we replaced it with like for like, or if there is another need for replacing based on where we're heading. So we don't want to continue we hear the voices and the feedback in previous AGMs around the amount of staff, the cost of staff. We're very mindful of that, and so we manage that very, very closely. That's that fiscal prudence. And then John is in the responsibility does he need to replace the role or find another reason to have another type of role that we need? So we've been very, as I said, very deliberate. Process improvement is around information flow internally, operationally, delivery, and those are the areas that we need to improve. What we'll also be looking at is investing in better data systems so that information is more instantaneous. That in itself will save time, people time, and it also gives the board faster reporting and eliminates the need of having to create reports manually when the system should be able to do that automatically from the farms to the office to the finance team.
Okay, so now that we have gone through a restructure, staff restructure, I'm assuming that we're not going to be going through any more. Therefore, it's stabilised the organisation. Therefore, because of that, we can now start focusing on reducing the expenditure for this time next year, seeing a better result. Is that correct?
So I didn't say we've gone through a restructure. I said we haven't gone through a restructure.
Okay,
We
so I
haven't
thought you did.
initiated a formal one. We did do a formal one in the APRI division. I acknowledge that. And there is no guarantee of what we are needing to do in the future. That's been determined by John, who's now started. He might say he needs to, create a different role, or he might look at what we needed to do to deliver on those three priorities. So I cannot speak for what the decisions he may make moving forward.
Okay, my next question is, this is to do with the honey. I see, it's on page 14 that we have sold 148,000 kilograms of stock, but the revenue on page 20 says 166,000. So I'm making that $1.11 per kilogram, but in the full report, I think it stated the price was $26.
Yep.
Could you
Yep.
just explain the issue?
Yeah, absolutely. What happened in previous years is that the value of the honey that we were producing was overvalued than what the reality of is when it comes to get sold. So there's always going to be a discrepancy. So the book value was a little bit too high than what the reality of it was when it was sold. That's a loss between the book value and the real value when it's sold. That's going to change. That is no longer the practice we're going to be applying. Once we are identified that it was an issue, that has been stopped. And going forward, we will be pricing the honey at the value that it comes off the hive into the drum and not giving it any weighted value of increase. Historically and generally, Manuka honey does increase in value over time depending on the quality. Therefore, it has an increased value. The book value was placing it at that forecasted future value, and that's not sometimes the reality. The reality is that when we sell it is the real value, and that's where we should be putting it in the book.
Yep. No, I understand. Final question is the facility that was drawn down by BNZ of almost 30 million, what has that gone on towards?
So we're going to get
The big items.
the bigger items. We haven't drawn it down.
You haven't drawn it down?
No,
In the full report, it states that it has been drawn down.
it's been there for a
Okay.
while. That facility of that, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on the new debt arrangement with BNZ.
Okay. And finally, this is on a personal note. I'd like to acknowledge my uncle, Whatarangi Murphy-Pehi, for his 41 years of service to the board. I remember back in the day when Whatarangi and my mother, Babs Hubbard, used to go out canvassing many years ago for his re-elections. I also remember over 35 years when Whata was fresh as a board member, and he was working alongside my grandfather, Robin Murphy-Pehi, who also was chairman for a number of years on the committee as a board member. So well done. I'm sure your wife Christina has a lot of chores, a list of chores for you to do when you get home with all the free time that you have. So well done on your achievement. I'm sure Kula Robin will be most impressed and very proud of what you've achieved, as well as my grandmother, Uta Murphy-Pehi, alongside with your family members that have turned up today, and your nephews, Hawani and Hemi. So well done.
Well done. Down here at the front. Sorry, it was in my line of sight. Soraya will come to you after this.
Kia ora. My question is to Awari, Ātihau Trust. Can I ask, is this general business now?
General business is coming later, but these are questions based on the 3 reports that have been presented: the chair's report, the performance report, finance, and the trust.
Yeah,
So have you got partai around those?
Yeah, trust, yeah.
Let's go.
Question is, I'm grateful for my kaumātua grants every year, but I see some names in here, like twice, $4,000, or is it split? Is it a split up to 1,000?
Yeah, it'll be a split.
Okay.
So within the financial year, kaumātua could apply up to $1,000, but sometimes the bills come at different times, and so we try to get as close as we can, but sometimes it's split over different applications.
Okay, I knew that, but I just want everybody else to know that. All right, another question, Rawiri, is sport, arts and travel. I know there's all these grants here, mostly for all these young ones that go overseas to play sports and that. Can us kaumātuas go and play sports like euchre, darts, say, ball, and around the country? Because, I'm sure a lot of us like to play euchre, say up north, down south. Can we qualify for that?
It depends. So the way that we award the sports grants is in this way. If you or your mokopuna or tamaiti is representing in a regional team at a national competition, and that you have endorsement from the national body that organises that competition, you are eligible. If you or your mokopuna or your tamaiti is representing Aotearoa at an international competition, and that is endorsed by a national body and an international body, you are eligible for a grant.
So New Zealand Charter Clubs qualify?
I'll repeat myself, if you are a regional representative at a national competition or a national representative at an international competition, you are eligible. Everything else, kaore.
Soraya in the middle here, and then we'll go down the back.
Tēnā koutou mihi ana kia koutou katoa te whāna, mihi ana kia koutou te tepu, tēnā koe te hiamana, tēnā koe Shah. 18649. Given what would be helpful to help streamline the meeting is that after each section, if you called for motions of individual reports, we could ask questions then, because I've got a few questions to ask, so it would have been good to spread that out. But anyway, here goes. First of all, I want to acknowledge you for all the mahi. It's fantastic to see you claw back, just like Mōriko has, us out of the red and into the black. Well done. It's also fantastic that you encourage and bring your managers along to the hui, because that's something Mōriko can perhaps take note of. I think it's very important for us to see the face of who is running our farms out there. So thank you for that, Shah. So it's great to see clarity around the strategic focus, but under Toitu Te Whenua, what I wanted to just ask you with regards, as we all care about tomorrow for our mokopuna, but more importantly, it is about the environment as well. And my question is, and you don't have to answer it now because maybe you have, maybe you haven't, is around waste minimisation. What work have you done or do you propose to do in this area? Do you have a policy around waste management minimisation? And if not, is that something that we can see in the future?
Kia ora, yep. To be honest, we don't have a waste management plan, policy or anything like that, but it's not that we won't consider it. Farm audit programs, if that's the best term to do. So in farm audit programs, maybe incorporating waste management. Okay. So it's in place.
So you do have you do have a lens on waste management minimisation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes, I'm getting there, yes.
And if that could be, improved, it'd be nice to see perhaps a little paragraph in the report around what that looks and feels like.
Yeah.
But I do want to acknowledge some work that I have seen on one of the farms around conservation, on one of the farms over there at Ohakuni. Kia ora. Also, it's a fantastic report. But also, there's always challenges. So it would be good to have a little bit of an understanding of actually what are those challenges for you all. I think you might have touched on some, but perhaps something that could be highlighted a little bit easier for us. This is around transparency and accountability. And I know that you all are, but it's the how. Okay, so that's it. That section about your report. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you. Just in response to that, we did at one point a couple of years ago report on our carbon footprint. We can bring that back. It didn't continue after that. That was about 3 years ago, if I recall. In terms of challenges, yeah, absolutely. We know the challenges and open to articulating those in the report so that you're aware of what we have to deal with as well. Yeah, kia ora.
Great. So I'm just on the operations report now. And of course, once again, the environment and conservation, what's really important is sustainable business practices. So what does that look and feel like for us to give us a bit of comfort around how you actually do those things and what they look like? I think I mentioned earlier on that I have seen some of it on one of the farms, which is really good. I just wondered if it had progressed any further than that, but also trying to keep a lens on that for the future?
Yeah, kia ora. Yeah, so in our kaitiaki in action area, kaitiakitanga in action, our Ātihau, just over 10 kilometres of waterway fencing. There was 6 kilometres the year before, so we're increasing that waterway fencing. More native tree planting, 2,000 odd trees planted in this year. Predator trapping continues, protecting kiwi, other native birds. Waterway monitoring continues. Te Aki Taiao program, which is around our cultural mapping. So that continues. That just doesn't stop, and it never will stop. But it's about how much we want to do, how much more we want to do, how much we're able to do. There's always an up and down. As long as it continues 1% better every day, we'll continue to be able to look after our taiao.
It's fantastic to see, too, Shah, koutou mā, that you are using technology, to see that you are using or implemented the halter collars, which I have seen in action, so that's fantastic. We're very mindful that, of course, with technology and AI, which is making a huge impact on our lives at the moment, and the fact is that that's the future, around the impact that all has on employment for our people.
Yeah.
So to acknowledge, Shah, that you've got 39% uri that are employed, that's great.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just
absolutely. And the thing is that will continue to increase in my hope, that we have 100% uri on our land blocks, on our farms, in our office. AI has arrived. We know that. And it's how do we adapt to it? AI will not replace jobs. Jobs are replaced by those who do not know AI. And so from whether you're on the farms, whether in the office, whether you're on the handpiece, whether you're in the yards, whether you're on the drenching gun, there will be an element of AI around. There already is. It's on your phones. It's called Google. It hears you. That's AI. But it's how do we adapt to it and how do we use the best of it to make the best outcomes that we aim for. It's arrived, and it's something that we have to be conscious in managing. I've been researching and involved in AI for 3 years, and so very aware of its pros and its cons and its challenges and its positives, and how do we adopt that in the organisation is something in the future.
Great, thank you, Shah. Just moving now to page 20 of the book, whānau, when we have a look at the revenue and the expenses. Thank you for this. I note that, you've increased in terms of the apiary royalties. That's great, the numbers there. But can you just give us some insight into the apiary bookkeeping, where the revenue was 166 and the expenses were $2,783. Kia ora.
That's a rebalancing of the environment that we're going through at the moment within our honey division. So it's about, so what I was going to talk about a little bit later is that we have set up a separate honey company called Āwhi Mere, and it's about that transition. So it's about moving some of the assets, the honey over, selling some of it that was in the incorporation line, and some of it's over in the honey line. But it's just about rebalancing through that transition from one entity to the other. But I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, called Looking Ahead, when John and I talk about what we're up to at the moment and where we're going to in the future.
Fantastic, thank you. Not too many more whānau. Just with regards to, and this is probably more for Rawiri, thank you very much, Shah. Is on, I see, I'm very grateful for the grants. We're so blessed. And this is a fantastic way that I keep telling our Māori authorities how we can give back to our people, particularly our flax roots people, because we know it's hard for it to be drizzling down from the top at times of some of our Māori iwi authorities. But anyway, I'm being a bit thingy there. I note that the Robin Murphy Pehi grant is $8,000 each year for 2 years. This is not about the person, this is about the process. It's a substantial amount of money, and I just wondered whether you would consider in your policies, or however you might do that, whether the successful applicant could come, given the amount of money it is, could come. We could see them, or perhaps they have to come and present to us or something. If that's something for you to go away and think about?
Thank you, Sarah. Yep. We'll take that back. Kia ora.
Okay, just one more last thing, whānau. Sorry. I think that it's really important because I know how our whānau feel sometimes around transparency, accountability, and I know that you are good at that. But it would be good if the trustee remuneration, that page, we have looked it up, can be put in the book each year. Kia ora.
Ka pai. Kia ora.
Yeah. All of your suggestions, comments has been recorded to be taken through the right. Yeah. We're doing that.
Hello? Oh,
Where are we?
kia ora. Oh, down here.
Oh, Hayden.
16420. Kia ora. Couple of questions. Just the first question in terms of the sustainability of the valuation. If you could, one, have a comment on that. The other one is going to our wise question over there about the short-term loan facility that is there and still on the books. Kia ora.
You just want to run your first question again, Hayden?
The first question about the sustainability of the valuation. This year it's around 11 million. And what does that mean and what does it mean for the overall books? So just asking the question, is it sustainable? What's the peaks and troughs? Excuse the pun.
Kia ora, Hayden. I assume you're referring to page 19, 11.1 million?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the revaluation gain. The whenua and the stock is revalued every year. And that is part of the process that's required for the audit. So that is the gain from the point of view of the current market value. Just like any market, there's peaks and troughs. In terms of sustainability of that gain, as you can see, in previous years, we've had some valuations downwards in relation to the market. So in terms of the sustainability of that number, the 11.1, if the market continues to rise and perform as it has in the last 12 months, then yes, that is sustainable, and maybe even there'll be a further increase. However, if the market moves in a different direction, then there may be a decline in future years, but that's hard to tell at this point in time because we're only halfway through this financial year. Okay.
We'll cover that debt question in a little bit.
Ka pai.
Next, Charles. Oh. Uncle Dana.
6051 Dana Blackburn. Fortunately for you, a lot of the questions I was going to ask you has been asked. But having said that, I feel we need to acknowledge a special person sitting on my right, Lex Moody. Lex Moody was the first secretary of the incorporation back in 1969. Under his stewardship, he was able to build a secure financial base that allowed us to purchase a lot of our properties back with cash. Not many people were able to do that. So please join me in acknowledging Lex Moody. I don't know whether the question's been asked, but in the notes, there's one about the honey business, about forming a company. How does that work if you haven't got any money?
You don't need money to set up a company. So what we've done, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in detail at the end, is we have set up a awhi mere, that is to ring fence and isolate the honey activities within the incorporation. Over the years, you would see there was peaks and troughs in the honey sector, and that was up and pulling the incorporation up and down, the valuation of honey and the like. So what we've done is ring fence that, dropped it into an entity. You don't need any money to set up an entity and move assets into the entity and the operations. And that way the honey entity can wash its face in terms of covering its operational costs. And when it's producing honey, it sells it, and then makes a return from there. And then 100% owned subsidiary by the incorporation, We'll go into a little bit more detail on that, but that's how we've done it. And yeah, you don't need money to set up an entity. Just $50 to register the company, I think.
Tēnā tātou, 21510. Question pertaining to the financial performance report and the Ātihau Trust. So one comment, one question for the financial report. An audited clean report doesn't always mean good. It just means it passed. So just as a comment, when we look at a couple of things here, operating profit versus cash profit, Hayden referred to the $11.1 million revaluation. It's a $1.3 million cash loss. The farming entity as well, when you look through that, through the other book that's online, apologies to all the whānau that didn't get to read that because it's actually some good detail. The farm performance looked really, really good. So I just wanted to point that out as well. You know, it's a $5 million increase. Yes, valuations and everything's gone up. Prices have gone up. So that's a really good. So these revaluations, we know we can't live on revaluations because we can't sell our whenua. We can't do that. So probably need to get back to being like true blue cash in, cash out. So look, that's a question, a comment. Sorry. And the Ātihau Trust, the comment or question I've got for Rawiri, what does the true cost of the trust, so the ratio dollars out to our whānau versus admin cost, and is there a metric that you can sort of drive performance in regarding that? So, kia ora.
I'll go the first question, and Rawiri's the second. I don't look at reevaluations personally. We're looking at performance and to turning our organisation around. And when we do that, the financial results will come. So the priority, I personally don't look at the evaluations because they can go up and down based on external factors, and we can't do anything with the land valuations either. So it's more about building back. And so the results are the last 3 years, we're building back and we're getting those fundamentals right. We've gone from 7 priorities to 3, and we're focused on those 3. And so when that happens, in the years to come, we'll start to see a shift. We're building back. That's what it is. We're not celebrating huge success today, but we are doing the fundamentals right now for tomorrow. And that's what our focus is on.
Hi, my name's Tanya, shareholder.
Oh, sorry, we've just got to answer one more question. No, respond.
Roughly, it's $1.75 for $1 paid.
Tanya, shareholder 22282. I forgot to ask a couple of other questions. One was last year in the report, you had a breakdown of each farm. I think it was only a 2-pager. It was a breakdown of each farm where we could see transparency and therefore accountability. I don't see it in this report or in the full report. Is there any reason why?
No reason why. But I'm just not sure why it wasn't carried over. It may have been a size thing. It may have been something that wasn't transitioned from the CE to CE or to me as the chair, but we'll take it on. I remember what you're talking about,
Yep.
And we'll know that. After today, we have a debrief, we gather all the feedback, and we make the changes to improve from next year. So we'll bring that back in.
Okay, that was a good report to be able to compare how each farm is doing. Some were underperforming, some were overperforming. So it would be very good to see it in future ones. Lastly, unclaimed dividends. I don't see a great deal of movement, and I know it's very hard to try and track down and identify people, given that the grants printed out and put in the back of the report, the annual report. Is there no consideration that the grants, so people who don't have computers, access to computers, etc., will be able to see that and therefore help you guys out a lot more?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a continual problem. We acknowledge that unclaimed dividends continues to grow up every year as we do performance, and we're trying to connect as many of our uri as we can. Succession orders take years. Paperwork is cumbersome. The work that Charmaine and Artelia do in the office is outstanding, but we're never ahead of the curve. We're never finding the uri or the shareholders to transition or succeed faster than the numbers that are coming in each year. So it's a continual problem. And this is not just an incorporation problem, it's across the country.
Does the corporation hold on for a period of time before the individual loses their dividend?
No.
So it's there for the rest of its life?
It's there for the rest of its life. It's pulled and held in an unclaimed dividend line.
Right.
We can't do anything under the Te Ture Whenua Māori Act.
Okay, great, thank you.
Down the back.
Kia ora, Shah.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. I'm your cousin, by the way.
I can't quite see you. Koe tō ingoa.
So, hori Henare Tamihana, but my grandmother was Miriana Gray.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, cousin. I'll hopefully come up and see you after and just say kia ora properly. I think this question may have been answered somewhere along the ways, and it's page 19 and under other comprehensive income, where in 2021 it goes from 37.4 million and then actual now 11.9. I think moving forward, maybe online, if you could have a breakdown of what other is, that might be helpful for us and for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand what you're saying there. I know where you're looking at. And this is an improvement. Thank you for all your comments, because we are in this transition of getting better information in this booklet that we send out without making it too expensive to send in the mail, but then providing the full details here. It is on this one. Okay. It is on this one. So
cool.
But your comment is valid, and breaking that down will be taken into account. There's a bit of a room on that page to do that.
Okay. Kia ora. Thank you, cousin.
Kia ora, cousin. Meet you soon. Pātai. It was a good run. I think I covered, down the front here, Auntie Olive.
Kia ora tātou. Atu me tuatahi e māku e mihi ati kia koutou te poari me te kaupakahaere hau, tēnā koe. And to the Trust for all the work that you've done this year. I'm so pleased that people have stood up before me and answered a lot of the questions that I actually had. I just want to make one comment first about the booklet. Thank you. I endorse the comments about it, because I have to say when I received it, I was quite surprised. It took me a very short period of time to read it, but the things I was looking for, I had to download. Because for many of us, reading is on a screen, and I know for myself, is totally impractical. I can't actually see it, and so I have to download it. Yep. And I've been interested that nobody so far has commented on our debt. And it was one of the things that stood out for me, that if you're reading the shortened version, you don't actually see how that debt has been dealt with, although you read that a candidate has made a comment about it, that it has been lessened by $10 million, or it's gone down $10 million in the past financial year. So having a look to see where that was, and hopefully I've been able to identify it, but am I correct if I'm reading about the debt on page 71 on the audited accounts, and I've taken my finger out of the other place I had it at, that we've drawn down on carbon credits to pay that, as well as the selling off of the Manuka honey, the stockpiles of Manuka honey, which we were talking about last year and the year before, that help us stockpile. Is that, have I
absolutely.
understood that?
You've got it 100%. We, for the first time ever, this is something to acknowledge, we do not have any honeys in storage. For the first time in 10 years, we've got all our honey is sold, and that's where that has gone to. So I just want to acknowledge Matt Manuka over there for buying that honey. That was $5 million off the debt line. And so we did listen last year. That's the thing is, and we want to hear the debt is a big challenge, and we want to make effort to reduce that. My objective is to make it zero. We've got things in place that will get there. It's just about when. But yes, and then the carbon, $5 million of carbon was sold to reduce the debt. We still have $19 million of carbon on the books. That's just an unutilized asset. So 5 million from carbon on debt, 5 million from honey sales on debt, down to 29 million.
Oh, kia ora. Thank you for that. And could I add a little bit about add a little bit to the Ātihau report in terms of what is happening down at Hui-ā-tau with our relationship with NZTA? Am I able to make comment about that?
Yep. I'll just ask John. Yes, as updated yesterday. It's with the Crown Solicitor and the Māori Land Court going through that legal process. Are you talking about the bridge, or are you talking about the Hui-ā-tau?
No, I was asking about whether it was okay to make a comment from a Hui-ā-tau perspective, and we're all shareholders or parts of whānau trusts, about what's happening there in terms of the Ātihau report here in your report. Killed it, so only take a couple of minutes. One of the things that supports the work that Ngāi Hui-ā-tau are doing with the slip repairs and things like that in anticipation of that receiving full consent and progressing in the next 12 to 18 months is the implementation of the Ngāti Rangi Taiao plan and ensuring that the mangawhero is kept as clean and as pristine as we can keep it to protect not only the mangawhero which runs through our lands, but also the Ararawa. And the Ararawa stream comes in, meets the mangawhero at Oriori, Te Oriori, or down at below where Rex Martin lives. And the reason we want to protect it is because in the migration of the tuna in March and April, and its return, when the tuna heke are on, we need to protect the sites that the tuna actually live in as they start their migration journey. And so it's been good that the NZTA and the associated contractors have actually adhered to that. So it supports what you're doing in your Ātihau program. Kia ora.
Kia ora, thank you. Any other burning pātai? Right down the back.
Kia ora, whānau. Oh, it's just one question. And
shareholder number?
22116. Oh, no. 21662.
If you give us a name, we can find the number.
Okay, Alan Taurerewa.
Kia ora.
You want the question now?
Kia ora.
Okay. All I really would like to know is what Ovia has actually done, and that's done and not going to do, about inflation-proofing our assets, because we can see an increase in inflation about to hit New Zealand. I want to know what you're doing to inflation-proof it, or what have done.
Kia ora, thank you for the question. Yes, inflation is an impact, and as you've said, increasing inflation decreases the value of assets. From the point of view of Te Ohu Tātari in the Audit and Risk Committee, the impact of inflation is part of what is our risk register, and the performance of the organisation from the point of view of increasing costs is something that the CEO and the finance team do keep a close eye on. But from Ohu Tatari's perspective, it is recorded in the risk register as a formal risk.
Any more pātai? That's good. There's good questions. Thank you. A good run of them. Soraya got heaps. I said you got heaps of questions and then. Oh, yeah, one more.
This is only a suggestion. Carbon credits. Right, carbon credits means one pine tree, doesn't it?
It means what, sorry?
Pine trees.
Well, it comes from trees.
Now, the whole of New Zealand are planting more trees and there's less stock, like less sheep and all that, with the price of meat going up. Just a point, in the near future, Mokopuna is going to be eating pine cones. And that's a true fact. There'll be no meat in this country. Now, what I want to ask also, with the price of meat, a leg of lamb is $99 in the supermarket. Instead of getting a honey, how about a leg of lamb next year?
If you're okay to not get any dividend or trust funding, we can go and replace that with lamb legs. Thank you for that. Yeah, I understand around the pine tree. They're not really going to eat pine trees. There is some whenua that is suited for pines or trees in general that is not productive for what we do. But we've got to better understand those things. We will never stop producing protein, growing grass. It's about balance. Okay, one more question. In the front there. Yep.
Tēnā tātou, ko mere wanarere tōku ingoa. My succession order hasn't come through yet, but pātai tāku. I know the kaupapa and the clear vision of the incorporation is around farming, but has the board thought about housing? So that's my pātai.
Yep.
And keen to hear if there is any kōrero or planning or consideration of papakainga development on our whenua. Tēnā tātou.
Thank you for your pātai. There hasn't been a deep conversation around that. The focus at the moment is just right-sizing. Well, first we have to stop the leak. The 2 years of losses, that's what I refer to as the leak. That's where our energy had to go first. Then once we've done that, and we're still in that process, we then position ourselves to be good at what we do now. And that's the second phase. And then the third phase is once we're already in that, then we can look at what we do off the farms or outside of our core business, whether it be housing investment or other types of investment that will help us when the commodity market does dip down again in the future. What we're trying to do is maintain that level, not have to be riding the troughs up and down. But first things first, stop the decline, focus on what we are good at first, and then look at what we need to do investments in the future, and housing would be one of those, naturally. Yeah, I'll get there. I got a little bit of talk about towards the end, which we'll touch on that again as well. It's about where we go to next. But yeah, just summarising that one. All right, I'm going to stop there. There's lots of pātai. Thank you very much. We really enjoy those. Gives us a better sense of your thinking, what you want us to do, where you want us to go, and you're testing us. And that's what you should be. This is what the AGM is about. Just don't throw too many hot rocks, and we haven't had many of those. But I appreciate all your pātai and your attendance, and the middle seats have filled up, so we've had a late surge of people arrive. I want him to move the three reports, if I can, in a collective, taking on Soraya's comment about doing them each after each. The Chair's report, the financial report, and Te Ātihau Trust report. Do I have a mover, please? Oh, I saw Soraya's hand up right at the back there in the middle. Can I have a seconder, please? So Soraya, move. Bear, Second, all those in favour? Kia ora. Thank you. I now moving over to the resolutions, and I ask Kemp Dryden to come forward and present the resolutions to you. Kia ora. Thank you, Russell.
Kia ora tātou. We're on page 1 of your booklet is where the resolutions are, if you'd like to follow through there. So item 8 is the dividend. The Committee of Management recommend that a dividend of 60 cents a share be paid in December 2025 pursuant to section 259(1)(c) of Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993. Just some context, this dividend represents 114% increase from the 28 cents per share in 2024. The total distribution is approximately 0.6 million or $600,000, reflects return to profitability and improved cash position. So I'll repeat the recommendation. The Committee of Management recommend that a dividend of 60 cents a share be paid in December 2025 pursuant to section 259(1)(c) of Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993. Do I have a mover from the floor? Bear here, and second is Olive Hawira. Kia ora. All in favour? Against? Kia ora, kua mana. Item 9 is appointment of auditors. It's a comment, not a resolution. The Committee of Management reappoints Silks Audit as auditor pursuant to section 2772 of Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993. Can we have a mover for that? Sorry, Auntie? 10. Auntie Edina Mohi, and we'll get that shareholder number through there. Seconder? Dana Blackburn. All in favour? Against? Kua mana. Item 10, appointment of share valuer. The Committee of Management recommend to appoint Silks Audit as share valuer pursuant to section 278 of Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993. Just context, share valuation is a statutory requirement under Te Ture Whenua Māori Act. Silks Audit has expertise in Māori land valuations, ensures independent and professional share valuation process. So repeating the appointment of share valuer, the Committee of Management recommend to appoint Silks Audit as share valuer pursuant to section 278 of Te Ture Whenua Māori Act 1993. Do we have a mover? Uncle Dana Blackburn. Seconder, Auntie Edina Mohi. All in favour? Against? Kua mana. Kaumātua grant. To approve by show of hands a kaumātua grant of $50 to kaumātua for travel costs associated with the annual general meeting, payment to be by direct credit. Context, assists with travel costs to attend the AGM. Direct credit payment ensures efficient distribution. So to approve by show of hands a kaumātua grant of $50 to kaumātua for travel costs associated with the annual general meeting, payment to be by direct credit. And we have a mover. Auntie Charisse here. 4601.
Excuse me, point of order. Can I ask a question or with regards to, in terms of meeting procedure, with regards before you move it?
Sure.
Thank you. Kia ora. Last year, we talked about, when you reduced it, of course, we were a bit upset about that. I asked for consideration with regards and understood totally why you needed to make that move. But we also asked for consideration with regards to the meeting remuneration fees of trustees. if we could get some feedback as to whether you had discussed that or not. I do note, and this is, I'm not picking on you, because everyone who is on a trust or an incorporation deserve to be remunerated for the work that they do. It's no doubt about you're doing the work. I note that each trustee is earning $32,000 a year. And that again is about transparency and accountability, given that it's not in the book for you to see, but it is online, and I have had a look. So I just wondered, and it's something that I also raised at Mōriko, whether you could go back and give some consideration to increasing it back to what it was previously to $100. That's all. Kia ora.
We'll take that request back for consideration. I just want to address your first point around fees. There's been no change to any fees for the last 2 years. That the trustees and the director fees are what they are. They've been independently assessed 2 years ago. Outside of the committee of management activities that we do, the committee of management or the extra subcommittees that we sit on, we don't get any fees for those. So we could be on all of them, you still get the one fee. You could be on one of them, you still get the same fee. But we're just all in here for doing our mahi, and we just get what we get. But we will look at the suggestion around that.
Thank you very much. I think you've made a very valid point there, particularly with regards to the subcommittee meetings, is that, and that's the good thing about having that report in the book. We can see who the active committee members are and who are the busiest ones. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Soraya. So do we have a mover? Oh, sorry, it's correct. It's by show of hands. So show of hands, all in favour of the Kaumātua grant, $50. Thank you. Against? Thank you. We've taken those numbers as well. Kia ora. Te Ātihau Trust Grant, item 12, to authorise a grant to Te Ātihau Trust of $325,000 for the 2025-2026 financial year for its charitable purposes. Context: the grants enables the Trust to continue its work across health, education and whānau support. $325,000 allocation supports Trust's operations. So to authorise a grant to Te Ātihau Trust of $325,000 for the 2025-2026 financial year for its charitable purposes. Do we have a mover for that? Kia ora, Shane. Seconder? Yes, that is an increase from last year. I think last year was $250. And were you seconding that? Yes, thank you, Bear. All in favour? Against? Ko mana. Minutes from last AGM. Comments, not a resolution, to approve the minutes of the 6th of December 2024 annual general meeting as a true and correct record. Minutes from 2024 AGM have been circulated to everyone, which is in the booklet. And do we have a mover for those? Olive Hawira, seconder. Medania Karodia. Kia ora. All in favour? Against? Ko mana. Kia ora. And now we'll head into general business, and I'll hand it over to the man of the day, Watarangi Pihi Murphy.
Morena, kia ora everyone. Well, this is my last duty as a committee member of not presenting to you, asking for, is there any general business? So you can fire those questions at me. It's my last day. If I can't answer them, someone else on this board will. So, yes, is there any general business that you want to ask the board about the incorporation, not about Donald Trump or how he's going to make America great and everyone else poor? But yeah, so is there any general questions? Oh, yes, we got one. I've got one. Oh, sorry. Coming. He's coming.
Just a question. I'm just asking, do we get a CEO report and does he get to introduce himself to the shareholders here?
He's next. So yeah, you're right. He's been sitting over there just listening and taking it all in. Because he's got every year for the next few years, he's got to face up to you all. And I'll be down there too with you all. Is there any other questions for general business? Oh, there is one. I was going to just...
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm shareholder number 17543. I was just wanting to know if there was, in regards to the lands and that are held by Te Ātihau, like in the valleys and stuff, is there anything, because you did mention relationships with other landowners, I think, just in regards to any developments and that may be happening with private landholders or them offering their lands up for sale, is there any way of them actually being able to have a relationship with Ātihau so that they were able to offer them back to Ātihau for sale before?
So you're talking about
Private
JVs
land?
or something, is it?
No, private landowners, like
Oh,
people that
private
already own land in the Te Ātihau region.
So that's, I just can't...
For private landowners.
Private landowners.
That own large areas of land.
A land, yes.
In the Te Ātihau region.
Yes.
Like borderlining with Ātihau's land regions.
Yeah.
If they have wanted to sell their lands, is there any way that they're able to communicate with somebody so that Ātihau-Whanganui has the first option to buy rather than them getting to sell those large bits of land off to foreigners?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we can. We can, if it's private landowner, a private property, which we've done in the past, we can buy that land like anyone else. We'd have to bid for it, of course. And if we were the person who was the top bidder, yeah, you could do that.
Oh, yeah, I was wanting to know the
And,
process of who to approach.
The only thing with that would be, if it's general land, it wouldn't be ancestral land, so I would say that the board, if they wanted to put it into the incorporation as the incorporation land, they'd have to do that through the Maori Land Court. If you wanted to change its status from general land. But here we are, here's our chairman, he might.
Yes, we'll have the conversation. John's the person to talk to. If it was possible, if there's options to purchase other land, even if it's private land, the conversation can be had with John.
Thank you.
In the first instance.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Never mind. Moving on. Any other questions? Going one. Oh, no, there's one right down the back
Kia
here.
ora, kia ora whata. My number's 8514. I am still having problems with the booklets and the papers that come out. I only received mine yesterday. I had to have it brought down from my wakuni to get to the meeting today.
Oh, yes, we'll take that on board. She got with the mail. So we'll look into that, why you only got it yesterday when you should have got it about 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, my sister across the road got hers last week.
Oh, yes.
My son got his yesterday too. The problem is the posts are totally different. Can you fellas change when it comes out? Maybe a month earlier?
Yes, they were all sent out at the same time, according to our chair here and John. So, yeah, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's a post or whatever.
It could be anything, but I think it's a whole month behind.
Oh, yeah. Rightio, we'll take
If
that
it
on
just
board.
comes a bit,
Yeah.
posted out a bit earlier,
Yep.
not
Kia ora.
21 days.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ka kite. Rightio, is there anyone else? Going once? Going twice? No more general business. Thank you for your questions, and that's it for me.
So that concludes the annual report update to you for that period of time. And now we thought we'll use this time to introduce you to our new CEO and go through a little bit about where we're looking ahead. So John and I will share a few insights and share with you where things are at since he started and where he's going to be heading next. So I'll hand it over to John. Introduce John Tātere, our new CEO. Kia ora.
Everyone hear me? Kia ora tātou, ko te arawa, rawa, ko takitumu, oku waka, ko Ngāti Kaununu, ko Ngāti Whakaue, ko Ngāti Pikiau, me Waitaha oku iwi. He uri ahau no enei iwi rangatira, ko John Tātere tōku ingoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Before we look to the future, I'd just like to acknowledge the past year and the work our staff, Kaimahi, have put into the year. You know, it was a big year for them and a big year of change. And me coming on board has been more change for them, and they've adapted well and are working really, really well. I'd particularly like to recognise Debbie Highland, who leaves us in 2 weeks' time, and the hard work that she has put in her time with us. And I know she has a passion for Ātihau, and I'd just like to acknowledge the work that she's done. As we look ahead, we're looking to build on the legacy that has been put in place by those that have gone before us at Ātihau here. And one of the things, you know, it's always a general theme at AGMs is debt and having sustainable debt as we work through it. So the board has, you know, we're looking to do this in 2 ways. The first way we look at is with the low-hanging fruit that we can get to make our debt level sustainable. And a part of that was that in August, the board tendered our banking facilities with 5 different banks, the result of which is we remain with BNZ, but we've managed to negotiate better rates. We're also going through the process of reorganising our facilities to make them simpler and more flexible in what we want them to do. And that also reduces costs, our interest costs and service costs on that loan. So by doing this, and also through tighter forecasting, a little bit of market, but particularly the strong negotiation and BNZ acknowledging who we are as Ātihau, we've managed to save $250,000 a year in interest costs, which come directly off our bottom line. The second way that we look at making our debt level sustainable, it takes longer, but it really produces, it is the foundation with which we have to sit. And that's really by having a robust business to support our debt levels. We need reduced variability throughout the years. So at any one year, we're still making money. We need to focus on the core drivers that increases productivity. And we need to build a business model that can naturally absorb any debt pressures that we have over time. The key to this is efficient operations across all of our business, and that ensures that every decision made, every plan made, and every action that we do drives performance. Efficiencies to drive income and reduce costs is what we've got to look at. And it's all about trying to create an environment where we can deliver consistently strong results to you as our owners. And so we're looking to do this by empowering all our staff, all our kaimahi. We want to give the managers room to manage and the authority to make decisions on the ground quickly. We need clear accountability for performance and delivery, and we need to support them better with tools and training to all our staff so they can do their job to the best of their ability. We need a really clear focus. You know, there's a clear focus at the board level. We've got to share that focus with our staff and with our kaimahi. And we need to really prioritise those core activities that directly lift productivity and profitability. We also need to reduce any complexity within our business, and we've got to make it simple so everyone can do their job well. We particularly want to get rid of anything that doesn't add any value to our business. And we've talked about partnerships a lot today, but it really is a focus of ours, that we focus on partnerships that put Ātihau first, Ātihau and its owners first. Probably the third point is accurate data. We need accurate data right throughout our business, so that the board, the executive, everyone in our business can make a clear and concise decision based on data. And the data coming back to the board allows them to make quick, concise and honest decisions. Kia ora.
Look how high this is. All right, I'll bring it down to a normal level. So there's John. You'll hear a lot more from John at next year's AGM, given that it'll be a full financial year of his reporting period or under his leadership. So just bear that in mind. I'm just going to finish off the two bottom parts on action on investments and trust innovation. As I mentioned earlier in some of the questions that I answered, we have set up a subsidiary company called Āwhai Mai Haere, and we have got the APRI part of our business in that business, and that is to ring fence the honey company so that it can grow and be supported on its own entity. It's probably something that could have been done a few years ago. We've been in the honey industry for about 11, 12 years now at different phases. So we had external beekeepers come in, we bought our own hives, we started to grow, we've started to scale back a little bit. We put it into a honey subsidiary company, 100% owned by the incorporation. And John and I are directors on that one, and we look after that as its own entity. And we're wanting to grow that entity. We'll look after it first and make sure that it's covering its own costs. But it's not when it goes up, that's a good thing because it'll be paying a dividend back to the incorporation. But when it goes down, we'll be able to give it a lot more support to keep it, and it doesn't impact on the ups and the downs of the incorporation. So that's the reason why we've done that. And I just want to acknowledge Henare and the team for going through that transition, as John and I have manaki that movement, but it is a positive, and it is going to probably reinvigorate our Āwhai brand that has been sitting on the shelf for a few years. So we're wanting to bring that one back and provide better value for that company, which then flows back to the incorporation, which flows back to you. So that's just an update on the Āwhai Mai Haere company. We do have our investment, 33% investment in Ātihau Farms over in Bulls with our Ngāti Apa Waiariki whanaunga. And they've had a record year, a very performance year of milk solid production. They have also gone through the debt book process that John mentioned. They've gone and got better interest rates from a bank, which again brings down their interest costs, which again is the best thing for the business, for the tow business. We have a 33% ownership in that one, and Kemp, Dryden and Hamish Blackburn are our elected directors on that entity, chaired by Pāhia Tūria, and Tracy Hook is also on that board. So just wanting to mention that investment. We also have a investment in the gondola on the Whakapapa ski field. This is a long one. It's been through ups and downs as we understand the challenges that are happening on Kororoa Pe'u. But we do have an interest in that one, $500,000. Very minor player in it on the scheme of it. There are two whare toa are also a shareholder in that one. They're quite a substantive shareholder. We've just received our first dividend from that, 72,000 from that investment. It's been a long overdue one. That will exit in time and we will get our $500,000 back because it is a bond. And so when you buy a bond, you hold it for a period of time, you earn interest on it, then you get the interest and you get the principal back, and then you exit out of any ownership. So that's what we are doing with the gondola. Hopefully within the next 5 years, we'll have exited out of that bond. Another thing I want to talk about, it's not investments, it's around communication to you. I'm hearing around the reports and the things that we needed to change and amend to, taking that on board. But we're also wanting to see and feel how you wanting to us to continue to communicate with you throughout the year, not just be at the AGM. And so we used to have the Awhi magazine, and there are copies down the back if you want to grab some for record keeping, for history, because we're not producing any more of those. But we're wanting to bring a form of a letter or a newsletter back, not as thick as the books were, but something more regular that will land in your mailbox or your inbox, to keep you up to date with the things that we're doing. We're doing lots of cool things, and we don't get the opportunity to share them to you enough. And so just wanting to canvass, you don't have to give me any feedback right now, but you can catch us after at Kai, how you would like to see that. We have a Facebook page, which is really clunky. It's probably not the right platform to keep in contact with you. So we're going to only use that as like updates of events when AGM is on and those sorts of things, but very little else in that posting environment. We are going to improve the website. The website is a beautiful website if you've been on it. It's got beautiful imagery, but it's really hard to navigate. And we're also going to bring in a way of being able to book shareholder hunting, like booking portal on that website. Mangatu blocks over on the Tairāwhiti have introduced the same system, and we're looking at applying the same system. It's a much easier way of being able to know and how you can book hunting spots, and better management for that. So we're going to look at improving the website, and some of the videos that you may have seen earlier today will go on that website as well. But the newsletter is the key one I wanted to put out and canvass your inputs, whether it's something that you'd like to see or not. So let us know when you see us around the Kai. And the last thing I wanted to go over is trust innovation. Now, I mentioned a little bit before about the trust and the change and what we're wanting to do there. I'm just showing you at a higher level where we are thinking. The Te Ātihau Trust has continued to provide an awesome service to us, to our mokopuna, to our tamariki at university, to our Pākeke for health, for various marae development, but it's quite constrained. It's limited to how much the incorporation distributes. And this year it's 325,000. I think the most it's ever been was 350. And it's been down to zero as 2 years ago. And that was based on a hard year for the incorporation. So it's really dictated to by the performances of the incorporation. That worries me. It worries me because our demand on the trust increases. Our shareholder numbers are increasing every year when succession is going through. We're now at 10,000 shareholders. What are we going to be in 5 to 10 years' time? What is the demand going to be on the trust if we continue giving it $325,000 and in some cases 250 or zero, and it has nothing to give out? So we're trying to think about how we future-proof and set something up that the trust is able to continue to grow and deliver more and over above of what it's doing. We wanted to do more wellbeing. We would want to do more kaumātua health and wellbeing grants. We want to help more of our tamariki mokopuna going through university or whatever career pathways they're going to choose, not just university, because there are career pathways outside of universities and marae. And I remember when I was growing up as a young boy with my koro on the board and going around and hearing them talk about the incorporation funding wharekai and those sorts of things over the years. And that rings true in the back of my thinking. And how can the incorporation through the trust support our marae in the future? We are looking at establishing a trust endowment fund. An endowment fund is intended to be an investment fund that will provide an annual return to the trust. A substantive fund, but it'll be from the sale of carbon assets. It's currently an asset that is underutilised or not utilised at all. It just sits on the books. And as you saw, $19 million in carbon value is not being utilised for us. And so if we were able to put some of that carbon value into an endowment fund that provided an annual return to the trust, that it can continue to do what it does and grow every year, because 20% of what the return to the trust would be has to be reinvested into the fund. So every year the fund will continue to grow. Therefore, the amount that the trust will be able to distribute will continue to grow. Now, at the moment, it's $325,000 that the incorporation provides to the trust. Over time, that won't have to happen, because the trust will be earning a lot more, even double that, on its own through the endowment fund. And then for the $300,000 that the incorporation is not giving to the trust, can be used for capital development, dividend, or the like. So that's where we are at the moment. We're going through a rigorous process. We're engaging with the trust, we're working with the board, we're getting external advice. Now, I just want to go back to Mere's comment around housing. That fund could be allocated to a housing development if it chooses to. So that's, we could start to, provided it needs to give its return to the trust, so the trust can do what it needs to do. It also sets the trust up to a position where it can apply for other philanthropic funds that are given out for social benefit or health and well-being, and the trust will be able to manage and distribute that. So there's a fair bit of strength to go, but we just wanted to introduce that to you and where we are heading with the trust innovation. Kapai? Not asking for any resolutions or anything like that, but just wanting to share where our thinking is with the trust innovation. I see two hands up. Okay, we'll go to Pātai.
Kia ora, shareholder number 17329, ko Waikato-mihi tuku ingoa. I just have a pātai with that, and I guess the whole strategy around what you're saying. I think there are ways to help our people with this incorporation, like where we could work with other iwi and follow models that have been successful, particularly Whairawa from Ngāi Tahu. And I've got nothing to do with Ngāi Tahu, but that model is really successful. And just as thinking about establishing some sort of KiwiSaver or super fund that we can invest in, but then we can also invest in the businesses as well.
Yep.
So I think that's something that should really be looked at because that's a really successful model and they're doing extremely well. They have scholarships for their tamariki that are ridiculous. They cover everything. And I think that's something that you should definitely look at.
Yes, and the conversation also was had around some of those things around working with other iwi. We're not iwi, just I always remind them that. We are an incorporation, we are Māori owned. We don't have the iwi constructs, but we have the fiscal ability, as you were mentioning, to partner and better collectivise. I know a lot about the Rauawa work and commend their success, and there could be a development for us. As I mentioned before, we're just bringing back from the negatives to the positives, first phase. Second phase is getting our strategic direction right, and then third phase is where do we go to next in terms of our investments, and that's possibly one of them as well. And what I just mentioned, housing, all of those sorts of things are there that we can consider. Just wanting to map out the phases and stages. Soraya, you had your hand up.
18649. It's great to hear these initiatives and for you to bring them back to us, Shah, for feedback. I've just got my simple layperson's lens or hearing on with regards to how you've outlined it for us all. Thank you. I'm presuming that you would invest enough of that $9 million carbon credit value, wherever you decide to do that, enough in it so that we could still maintain the current policy of grant distribution.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes. We want to increase that grant policy distribution and do more. The demand is there. The demand is coming. We can see that. I saw that when I was the chair of the trust. But we've got to also get our data right, which is one of the 3 strategic priorities. Data includes all our shareholder data and where they are, and where we can start to forecast age, demographic, location to better serve through the trust. So those are the, sort of the layers that I'm sort of mentioning. I know I'm traversing all your questions, but then it excites me when I hear about the Kiwi Saver and what we could possibly do. Health insurance is another one that Ngāti Whātua provide. So but we've got to get our fundamentals right first, and we're doing that at the moment. I just wanted to give this as a sense of where we are wanting to go. And it will take the time and the diligence to get there. This is not a rushed process, but we are wanting to share where our thinking is, hence why looking forward is a topic on the agenda. You're able to hear from John and his thinking of where he is looking at, share some of the other thinking that the board are discussing and what we're wanting to do and what next year will look like at the AGM, at the 57th AGM.
Thank you, Shah. I think it's got a lot of potential. Kia ora.
Kia ora, thank you. Okay, I don't want to leave the cooks running late. Okay, so I'm now going to, we're just going to do a little bit of a stage movement, a shift around. And we've got Whata, as you know, after 41 years serving the Committee of Management, serving you, serving us, as his last AGM as he retires from the board. We have a little bit of an acknowledgement for you, Whata, so we're going to ask you to come around to the front. And as we do that, I'll ask Ngāti Kiria, Dawidi, and Uncle Boy to come up. And there's a little bit of a video.
Tēnā koe o tira kia ora tātou. Where do I start? Firstly, want to acknowledge the contribution you have made over a really long time to the incorporation and through the incorporation to our iwi, to our people. But there was a time a few years ago now, we were having a strategy session in Ōtaki, and we were encouraging you to get online to create wharawhinks, and where wharawhinks could be sharing different things, and the way social media is going now, you'll be perfect. So that's your retirement plan, and you'll make money. Heaps of love to you and Chris and the whānau. Nō reira, kei te pāpā, tēnā koe, kia ora tātou.
Okay, so we have a little taonga, not a little, but we have a taonga to recognise Whata's time with us. He's still going to be here, he's just going to be down there next year. Oh, he's going to sit by Bear. Got a seat ready for him. But as mentioned throughout, this is Whata's last AGM. And I last night and yesterday at our board meeting acknowledged Whata for my time. And from the time that he's been on the board for 41 years, I was in Primer 2 when he got onto the board. So that's how long he has been here. But I always remembered him when I was going around with koro, being a younger board member. I very clearly remember that. And then when I had the privilege of joining the board, have really enjoyed Whata's knowledge, and his memory of recall of so many things that happened over his 41 years is phenomenal. And I've been able to enjoy that, as well as his humour and his dignity and the laughs that we have at every board meeting. Always keeps the environment, our space alive and happy. And so Whata, on behalf of the board, we have got you a patu, as you call it. Whata always wanted a patu when he was going to leave. And so we have made an arrangement to source a very special patu. And I'm going to pass it over to uncle and cousin.
Right. Kia ora, and I'd like to thank the Committee of Management. They took on board what I wanted and they delivered. Although last night, we had a board meeting last night, and last night it was just the board and us, so I reminisced for 25 minutes on just one section of my 41 years on the board. And they gave me flowers. Now, what man has flowers? Eh? Oh, they gave my lovely wife flowers, and then they gave me flowers. I said I would have preferred chocolates, and it would have been cheaper. It would have saved you, saved the shareholders a few dollars as well. But no, really appreciate that, and from the board. And also from the shareholders, 41 years. I was 30 when I first got onto the board. And if you go, but you got to go online, unfortunately. But normally you'd have a balance sheet, an annual report. And if you go into the page 7, it gives a history of when we started and where we've got to, from 1880 to 2022. So I'll just reflect on that. So I came onto the board on that page 7 in 1984. And in 1984, the way compensation is calculated is challenged in the courts. So that's when I came on board. And then you move forward to 2002, to 2006, 16,800 hectares were resumed. I was part of that. In 1995, established the Papahau Forest. So as part of that. And, before I go on, I'd like to acknowledge Lex Moody, because my father was a chair then, because I've served under all chairs except for the first chair, which is Rangi Metakingi. I came on when my father was chair, and there's been 9 chairs. I've served under 8. I've been a chair for a brief time, and I'll get to that as we glide through where I have come from. And yeah, so I'd like to, and that was great, Dana, that you acknowledged Lex, because he was quite a mover and a shaker as an accountant way back then, and a secretary. As we move on, where was I? Established pub over 2003 to 2008. Redress negotiations undertaken, the Crown. We got the $29 million. And that was a process over 3 years that the shareholders and the board put $1 million into that to get $29 million. And I think that was a great achievement. Dana was part of that as well, the board. Yeah, so that was, and Meteray, he started it off. Then I came on board as a chair, and then Dana finished it off in 2008. So my chairmanship was between 2005 and 2007. In that time, we won the Maori Farm of the Year way back then. I would say if the incorporation was to go into it this time, things have cranked up a wee bit as far as productivity and all that sort of stuff goes. So that was good. And also, we went down that corporate way with CEOs and all that sort of stuff. Whether it's been a good thing or bad thing, we could have gone and looked at other things, but that's the path that the board chose, and we've got that today, and we can only improve on it as we go along. That was appointment of a chief executive officer. That was in 2007. Establishment of Ātihau Farms. That's when we went into the partnership with Ātihau. Now that was an interesting one, that Ātihau, because there was two things that the CEO put up to us. He put up I think it was the Scott Estate Farm, and also Ātihau. And the board at that time decided to go, because we had farms, they decided to go to Ātihau, which we've got today. And it was struggled away, but the new board will hopefully get there at some stage, and we will make a profit on that. And then in 2009, Te Ātihau Trust was established. And just listening to our chair and the board, the direction from 2009 to 2025, we've followed that direction, and there's been changes to it. But the board have got a different approach to how we fund the trust. And I think it'll be really good in the next few years once they put that together. And then 2015, we diversified into bees. It was part of that as well. And it's been up and down, but we'll get there. We did the branding. So we spent a lot of your money over that period of time. And we also established the training facility. But that hasn't gone as well as we hoped it would. And I think what came out of that was you're better to leave someone else to train our young people than ourselves, and then bring them back once they're just trained up after a couple of years. And then we moved on to the 50-year celebration. So I've moved from the first 50 years into the next 50 years just. And so it's been quite a lucrative, that's the wrong word. It's been quite a really interesting journey for me, because I've always said in 5-year increments or 10-year increments, because being an old person, I've always said that when you hit 60 in 5-year increments, your thinking changes on average. So I've had that over the last 41 years of 10-year increments. I'll just put that one. But yes, so thanks for your support. There are a lot of our old people and our shareholders who aren't here today. They've gone to heaven, like we will all do at some stage. And acknowledge all them as well, because they voted for me when I was out there, and it's quite interesting with the votes being split now, that we've gone from, I think when I got on the board, there was probably only 2,000 or 3,000 shareholders to now 10,000, it'll keep on growing. So with that, I think I've taken up too much of your time because it's just about lunchtime. Are we on target? We are on target, but just a positive note. I'm leaving the board, and I think the new member, whoever he or she may be, to take my place. The board is in good stead. We've got to get those farms up. We've got to get that production on those farms up. Our bread and butter, and then worry about all the other fluffy things on the outside. I don't know whether you... Kia ora. Thank you.
Ka tira e te whānau, kua tai tātou ki te hiku mutu o tō tātou hui. We've arrived at the end of our hui for today. Just some final instructions. As we all know, our kai will be served next door. There are 2 entry points to correct your kai. Find a tepu, noho tahi, kia kaitahi tātou. Of course, there's the entry point here and also the one at the front of the hall. And I just want to acknowledge all of our ringaringa and waiwai who have helped to put on today's annual general meeting, and in particular our ringawera, Wai Marino shares for their contribution to our kaupapa today. So I will close with karakia and also have karakia whakai, and then you are free to go. Ki te ngō te matua me te tamaiti me te wairua tapu, āmene. Kia tau ki runga i a tātou katoa, te aroha noa me te rangi mārie, he mea nā te atua, nā tō tātou matua, nā te ariki hoki, nā hehu karaiti, āmene. E te atua whakapainga nei kai, hei oranga mō mātou, tinana wāngai oki o mātou wairua, ki te taro te ora, mā hehu karaiti tō mātou. Kai waka ora, matua, tama, wairua tapu, āmene. Tēnā tātou te wānau.